Good evening. This is MUSAU MattmeachamJR signing in. I'm signing in the lovely country of Kenya. Right now I'm sitting in Nairobi, Kenya. I've had some wonderful experiences, I guess, in the last few months. I spent maybe a year in the US, and I played around in Boston and Rhode Island, and I did several broadcasts. But I was inspired. And in that inspiration, I decided to fly to Africa. So I ended up in Rwanda, a beautiful country, and I had a wonderful time there. And then I went on to Uganda, another country. And Uganda is quite different from Rwanda. But now I am in the country of Kenya and in the city of Nairobi. Now I lived here in Kenya for over 10 years. On my retirement in the US, I took a plane on the day of my retirement and I flew to Nairobi, Kenya. And it seems that I must have loved it because I lived in Kenya for 10 years before I decided to come back and spend some time in the US. Now it's like completing a circle. It's like completing a circle, or starting from one point and going to another. Now my concerns, I guess, as an older man, are different from the concerns when I was a younger man. Now that I've traveled in different places in the world, and actually I've lived all over the US, I think what happens is the more that a person becomes exposed to life, I think he begins to appreciate life. And so I'm at that stage where I appreciate life, and I love life, and I love human beings because I'm one. My concern as an old man is not sociological politics. These were my interests as a young man: sociological politics and art. Sociological politics that dealt with the ventures of the African man. Those were my concerns as a young man. Now I've reached the age of retirement, and I'm approaching, 75 years. My views on life have really been ratified today. Now, what is my concern? It's interesting. It's quite interesting. My concern is the preservation of humanity. What installed this notion within me, I do not know. But I am concerned with the preservation of humanity. And I have begun to explore and experiment with a formula that was discovered by a scientist by the name of, excuse me, Albert Einstein. Simply, that formula stated that E equals MC squared. And the more I began to study that formula, I began to realize that that formula is considered a formula that deals with the idea of relativity. Relativity. And when you think and talk of relativity, it causes you to think and talk about a lot of other things. But if you have been following me from US to Africa, you would know that I have concern with the formula E equals MC squared. And it is my contention that that formula was the beginning of the nuclear age, where man would begin to contemplate destroying other men in mass killings. Although when Einstein began to explore the formula E equals MC squared, although I don't think that he was really contemplating the destruction of humanity. I think that it just so happens that this formula or this ultra reality that he discovered led to mankind to begin to contemplate mass human destruction. And it is my belief that if Einstein, a man like myself, could actually discover a formula that would eventually lead to the contemplations, which would mean the elimination of human societies, then the challenge that became a challenge for me. That challenge was that if a man can find or discover a formula that could destroy mankind, then it should be another man that should be able to find the formula which will save mankind. My thesis is this, that certain realities exist whether we exist or not. And Einstein's theory was just a theory which Einstein discovered. It was not a theory which Einstein created. It was just a part of reality that he was able to see that other men did not see. And he shared this with other men. And somewhere down the line, this magnificent discovery that Einstein made, it was the beginning of the most ferocious weapon that mankind had ever conceived. But I think when we began to talk about E equal MC squared, we're forced to talk about many things that deal with the issues of humanity and survival. Also, many things to do with humanity and theology. Now, I would like to throw out another concept that came to me since my arrival, in Kenya. I was in an usher, and I looked at there was a writing. Excuse me. There was a writing on the wall. That writing was that a negative times a negative will never be positive. In other words, if we take a negative number and multiply it by another number, but wait a minute, a negative times a negative, isn't that a positive? Like a negative 2 times a negative 2, isn't that a positive? I must have read it wrong.